Tonight, 22 days to go. As Election Day nears, we break down the state, house, and congressional district representing ELN. What you need to know as you head to the polls.
Backyard art, how one ELN student turned her backyard into an art studio.
And searching for a chaplain. One of the longest serving chaplains in the country, ELN's Jan Fuller, announced her retirement to the community. How she's feeling in the process on her replacement ahead.
We'll bring you those stories and more this evening.
ELN Local News starts now.
Live from the Jane and Brian Williams studio at ELN University School of Communications, you're watching ELN Local News.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Maeve Ashbrook.
And I'm Margaret Faust.
The town of ELN is asking ELN University to reconsider its proposal to close East Taggart Avenue from Circle K to the McMichael Science Center every weekend. The proposal itself says the university wants to close the road to create a large outdoor gathering space for students. But University President Connie Book also says it's about student safety following a pro-Trump convoy driving through campus. The Board of Aldermen heard the proposal for the first time last week but didn't support or approve it. And joining us now for the latest on all of this is ELN Town Manager Richard Rodner. Mr. Rodner, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
So first off, where are we at in the process of this proposal right now?
Well, we actually received a revised proposal from the university this morning that we are taking a look at, and we are hoping that over the course of this week we'll be able to approve portions of it at the staff level and do some trial implementation over the next couple of weeks to see how things go.
And what's the difference between this proposal and the original proposal from last week?
The original proposal was for 7 weekends from, I believe, Thursday evening to Sunday evening, which would have significant impacts on the downtown, significant impacts on traffic. What we're looking at right now is for 1 weekend and then some spot closures as we move further into November.
Mm-hmm. And what is the reason that the university is citing for closing the road in this new proposal?
I think the prime reason is concern over security. With the random trucks driving across campus, the spin-off of the truck convoy that came through town, it's brought to everybody's attention, and much heightened attention, the issue of safety, perceived safety, and how we keep people comfortable here in ELN, and how we keep this as a community that people want to be in.
Yeah, and do you think that closing the road is the best response to the actions of the convoy?
It can be. I don't think a permanent closure is the answer. I think we're dealing with larger societal issues where that kind of behavior is deemed acceptable by people. And closing it creates, as I said earlier, creates a string of impacts from restaurants downtown, retail downtown, traffic that is getting from one side of town to the other. We also had communications with state DOT today, and they have a lot of input into closing it. Even though it's a town road, that stretch, it does connect multiple state roads, Williamson, both ends of Haggard. And so they would have a big stake in that and take a hard look at any kind of proposal for any kind of a closure.
Yeah, and so President Book has referenced the act of the road closure as a, quote, Band-Aid or more of a short-term solution to the problem. What would you suggest is a long-term solution?
Civility, polite public discourse, and, we are dealing with, I won't say a handful, might be a larger handful than we think, but we're dealing with people who, for whatever reason, have a kind of a anti-societal view of things, that their opinion is more important than others, I think. So I think as a society, we need to take a better look at that. We need to be doing better education on civics and what it means to be what it means to follow our Constitution, what it means to follow our laws, what is society, we have to work together to create society and keep it running smoothly. How do we get people to do that?
And you are also on President's Book Roundtable that she created in response to the actions of the convoy. Where is the roundtable at in their process right now?
We've met twice, and the second one was Friday. Maybe it was Thursday. We met on Thursday, and really understanding the level of concern that people have with what's been happening, and we're starting to look at some of those options. We've thrown out some ideas of whether it's traffic calming, making the roads so that they are perhaps less desirable to drive through unless you really had to. Whether that's making them more narrow, adding bike lanes. Are there things we can do at crosswalks that make them more secure for pedestrians who are crossing? So those are some of the things that, as a community, we have some control over and would take a look at.
Yeah, and overall, the university has proposed closing this road several times, and it's been denied. What do you think is different about this proposal, or this second proposal from the original one?
Well, I'm not sure that the issue of closing the road, I'm not sure the opinions of that have changed. I think we are willing to take a look and do some experiments to see what changes, what impacts they bring. Does closing a lane change it so that it's not as desirable for that kind of activity to take place? Do we look at one-way streets, for instance? Those kind of things that might make it less desirable to drive down Haggard. Does that just push it to another area? And then we have to take more action. Those are some of the things that we need to figure out.
All right, perfect. And thank you, Mr. Rodner. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us this evening.
My pleasure. Thank you.
I have some good news for you tonight. ELN University has moved down to level 1, the new normal, over the weekend. The university says changes for students, faculty, and staff will be minimal. The university is reporting 5 new positive cases of the coronavirus today, contributing to the 20 cases in the past week. These numbers are down significantly from the 131 new coronavirus cases during 1 week in the month of September. Outside of the ELN bubble, cases are beginning to rise again. Alamance County reported 38 new cases today, and cases in North Carolina are slowly starting to rise. For the latest case numbers, go to elonnewsnetwork.com/coronavirus.
Downtown Elon business All That Jazz reopened today after being closed during Elon University's Level 3 high alert level. As our Claire Schoenfeld reports, other local businesses are still suffering, even with the return of students.
The coronavirus pandemic has a large impact on retail business, including local Elon boutique All That Jazz, which has lost 75% of business. Vice President of Logistics for All That Jazz, Vivian Swan, says they've been mostly dependent on e-sales since Elon events are now virtual.
We're kind of codependent. We need you and you need us, so.
But it isn't just traffic from students that is keeping business going. Other local businesses are doing their part to back each other during this tough time.
We all support each other. If somebody comes to visit Elon and they want to know what restaurants to go to, we always send them, like to the Root or the Tangent or Pandora's.
Tangent House manager Mark Woody says the restaurant never had to shut down but had to close indoor dining. Without a bar, Woody says the business has suffered with fewer alcohol sales.
We can't have people sitting here drinking all day and having, 2-3 margaritas, they come get a drink and leave. So it's definitely down a little bit for us.
But despite the drop in customer turnout, Woody says that employees are still able to cover their living expenses.
Unfortunately, with a little bit less business, we're having to give less hours. But overall, it hasn't affected us too bad. Everyone's been able to, make bills and everything. So what's important is still being taken care of.
Claire Schoenfeld, ELN Local News.
To get people into the store today, Splon says All That Jazz is offering a reopening sale to increase foot traffic.
The national search for a new university chaplain begins this week as Jan Fuller announced her retirement to the community on Friday. Fuller is one of the longest-serving chaplains in the nation. She has made it her mission to help students connect with their spiritual selves. Fuller most notably introduced the annual Interfaith Student Conference, conducted research, and taught Elon Core curriculum courses over the years.
So I started the process and I have a great team of people that I work with. who are entirely capable and wonderful people. So nobody's going to miss me because there's all these good things that are still going to happen. And we're going to build, I'm sure the new chaplain will build on them.
Fuller has no say in who the new chaplain will be, but hopes her replacement will have the same long-term vision for the university that she did. She is hopeful that the new chaplain will bring diversity to the position.
It's a wonderful work, and I know that we'll be looking for somebody who has a lot of experience, who knows how to do this and who knows how to keep people motivated to keep moving forward and keep deepening our and broadening our reach in the university.
Fuller was in this industry for 36 years and spent 10 of those years at ELN.
Still to come tonight, before early voting starts this Thursday, we break down 2 key races for local voters affecting the State House and Congress. Plus, how to vote if you are in quarantine, what you need to know if the virus stops you from going to the polls. Well, we are just 22 days away from Election Day, and we continue our series tonight, introducing you to candidates on the ballot. We have 2 reports tonight with John Sarver breaking down North Carolina's 64th State House race, but we begin with Brian Ray, who is covering North Carolina's 13th congressional race. Brian, good evening to you.
Hey, Maeve. Incumbent Republican Ted Budd is running for his 3rd term in office, and he's being challenged by Navy veteran and small business owner Scott Huffman. I sat down with both Huffman and Budd asking about a wide range of topics from COVID-19 to how they'll support students in the district. Here's some of what they had to say.
Congressman Budd is running to represent counties like Alamance that weren't under his jurisdiction when he was first elected in 2016. Following a court order, North Carolina's congressional map was redrawn for the 2020 election and moved Alamance County from the 6th to 13th district. Budd says his experience representing nearby counties will help him understand the needs of Alamance.
I've been representing Guilford County, which has High Point University, competitors, colleagues, allies in lots of different ways. So a lot of the needs that a university community would have, you're also going to have in Alamance.
Budd's opponent, Scott Huffman, has never held public office. He says he'll draw on his military and business experience to help the district if elected.
I'm going to represent everybody who is in the district, regardless of their party affiliation. Now, we may not agree on a lot of things, but we'll agree on what will help our district. So I'm just as prepared, if not more, than Ted Budd.
So what would be your pitch for a college student voting for you? How will you support them?
I, will work with those in Washington and those at the state level to try to focus on a way to reduce the cost of higher education.
And I think what I'm supporting actually works and has been proven throughout history, and it's led to the greatest economy in 50 years, the lowest unemployment, the most equality in 50 years when it comes to wage growth.
On COVID-19, Budd says he wants to get aggressive on slowing the spread and stop relying on China for personal protective equipment.
I think we should make that here. Look, this area, Alamance County, you think of Burlington Mills, you think of all the textiles that's produced right here in Alamance County.
Huffman says the federal government failed to unite the country to fight COVID-19.
If we'd have really taken this virus seriously back in February and March, we would actually probably be reopened on a larger scale than where we are right now.
I also asked Huffman and Budd about their plans to reboot the economy, their stances on removing Confederate monuments in the district, and how they'll tackle the opioid epidemic. You can find their answers to that on our website under the Politics tab. Live in the newsroom tonight, I'm Brian Ray. Maeve?
Brian Ray, thank you. And now we turn to John Sarver with the candidates for North Carolina's 64th District House race.
Next month, North Carolina State Representative Dennis Riddell and Democrat Eric Henry will face off to represent the 64th District here in Alamance County. The 64th District is made up of the town of Elon, Gibsonville, and downtown Burlington. Local business owner Dennis Riddell is the Republican candidate and current representative for District 64 and has held the seat since 2013. As Riddell seeks his 5th term, he said he wants to work on rebuilding the economy that has been impacted by the coronavirus pandemic.
Going forward, I think we can do more safely and get more people back on basically their lives again. You want to save lives, but it's also about livelihoods. talk to people who've lost their family business. They're not reopening. And that's quite a blow to somebody, especially if you're second or third generation. So trying to get our economy moving again.
Eric Henry is the Democratic candidate for the 64th House seat and is president and CEO of TS Designs, a t-shirt design company in Burlington that places an emphasis on being environmentally conscious. Henry said that one of the issues that he wants to tackle if elected is climate change.
Nature's a system that we're a part of. So the main reason I'm running is I want to reconnect and rebuild communities that have been devastated both by the environment and by political forces that have ideologies that benefit certain groups of people. And I like to say a community cannot be successful unless everyone in that community has the opportunity to participate.
Henry said that he and Riddell know each other well. For Henry, he said that he wants to run for office to give voters a different choice on the ballot. And Riddell said that this election comes down to a liberal and conservative choice for the 64th District. Maeve and Margaret, back to you.
Thank you, John. For more on all the races down the ballot, be sure to go to our website, elonnewsnetwork.com, and click the Politics tab. As Election Day nears, some Elon students are taking precautions in case quarantine prevents them from voting. Our Christine Guido has the story.
Being stuck in quarantine didn't stop sophomore Ben House from voting in the 2020 election. House says he had a friend pick up his absentee ballot at mail services and drop it off to him.
There's no issues. It's pretty seamless. Very doable.
But while it may be doable, Director of Civic Engagement for Elon Votes, Kate Podge, says there are things students can do to prepare for being in a similar situation come Election Day. She says students should vote as early as possible, either by requesting an absentee ballot or by voting early in person.
Of course, we know it's so fun to vote on Election Day. It's so fun. But if you're really concerned about it, and we're recommending that everyone vote as early as possible because you really just don't know where you're going to be on Election Day.
Some students have already made plans similar to House.
So I think what I would do is I would have my roommate, she has a car, she would drive to if I'm in a hotel, and I would probably give it to her. Either that or I'd mail it, but I really prefer not to mail it because due to the delayed system.
I would use the absentee ballot as a mail-in voting way and try to get my roommate to help me.
Probably go put it in a mail-in slot where I live. That's easy. I got my mail-in ballot there. I'd probably go put it back.
Probably just mail in my ballot since I'd be stuck in quarantine.
And Podge says if you miss the deadline to register to vote here in Alamance County, you still can if you show up to an early voting precinct with your student ID or utility bill if you live off campus. Christine Guido, ELN Local News.
To find a list of the early voting precincts, go to elon.edu/votes.
Rain all weekend and some showers tonight. I'll tell you if we're seeing more right after this.
For our weather update, we go now to Ellis Chandler, who's on Citrone Plaza. Ellis.
Margaret, thank you so much. As you can see, we just had some slight showers out here, so if you're headed to dinner soon, you may want to grab an umbrella. The current temperature is 68 degrees and tonight's low will be 58. We're headed into the mid to upper 70s this week, with tomorrow's high being 78 and the low of 49. Wednesday's high is 75 with a low of 52, and Thursday's high is 78 with a low of 56. On Friday, we may see some of those slight showers again in the morning as you're headed out the door, so you may want to grab an umbrella. High will be 67 with a low of 43. It's back to feeling like fall on Saturday with a high of 62 and a low of 39. I'm Ellis Chandler with your Phoenix 5-day forecast. Back to you in the studio.
Ellis Chandler, thank you.
While there's a number of classes being held virtually this semester, Assistant Provost for Academic Operations and Communications Paul Miller says that his office has received a consistent number of honor code violations this fall, as in previous years. He says that although it is up to the students not to cheat on exams, there should be weight on the professors as well.
And I think that crafting an assignment that reduces the risk of an academic integrity issue is important, to be thinking about that on the front end. Not that you suspect that people will violate the honor code, but to set it up so that you can support learning in a way where a student, reduces the risk that is.
Miller says that the best thing for students to do if they feel overwhelmed is to engage with their professor and be honest about their challenges in the classroom.
Finding a community among a pandemic may seem abnormal, but coming up, we'll introduce you to a group off campus coming together through art.
You're watching ELN Local News.
While many ELN students struggle to maintain a sense of normalcy during the pandemic, some have found ways to use their artistic outlets as a way to connect. Our Samantha Hess has the story.
I want it to feel almost like a workout, in the sense of sometimes you don't always want to get out of your bed or your comfy zone. And so I want people to come here and take a break from all the chaos and anxiety that's going on in their lives and just decompress and leave here feeling a little bit better than they did before.
ELN Jr. and studio art BFA Ellie Walder serves as the president of her new club, Podge, an art collective she began this year for students to lean on during the pandemic.
Students can come to create art, have a community, and escape the chaos that's everything that's going on with COVID. We do art, listen to music, talk about our days. It's just a safe haven for students to rely on.
Walder recruited another BFA student, junior Phoebe Carlton, to help her start this club and push their influence to other students on campus. Carlton is now vice president of Podge.
I've been in the art department for this is my third year now, and I haven't been able to form much of a community in the art department, so I thought something like this would be a great way to get that started and to, just create a community for not just myself, but like everyone who does art.
The club takes place outside Walder's off-campus house, with masks and physically distanced blankets required.
Just being able to get together with people in person, even though we're still distanced and with masks, and just like talk to people like face to face and just have something that feels kind of normal again.
Samantha Hess, ELN Local News.
And that's all the news we have for you this evening. Thanks so much for joining us.
On air, online, and in the stands, we are ELN News Network. Be sure to follow us on social media at ELN News Network.
Stay safe and have a great week, ELN.